Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Marvel just had their big Comic-Con panel and released the first official teaser for Black Panther 3, announcing David Jonsson as their new Black Panther. Ryan Coogler, the director, has already started talking about the movie. Denzel Washington has definitely been talking about the movie for a while, even though Marvel doesn't want him to talk about it, so we will break it all down. You could definitely tell at the panel they were very, very excited to introduce their new Black Panther, so Marvel does have very, very big plans for him going forward. This is the important part of the Black Panther 3 portion of Marvel's Comic-Con panel.
And like Kevin likes to say, there is one more thing. The last time we were together, we got to make a movie. We introduced a character who was the son of the character that the great Chadwick Boseman played, our T'Challa in that film. And today, I want to tell you guys that this next film, he grows up, he comes of age, and we have to find an incredible actor. You guys in this hall, you guys might know some of his work. He was great in a movie called The Long Walk. He was great in Alien Romulus. I want you guys to give a warm welcome to our new Black Panther, Mr. David Jonsson. This young man.
I want to say thank you so much. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you to this amazing family that I have the honor and the privilege and the blessing to join. I actually don't want to say too much because I want to let this screen do the talking. But believe me, the honor is entirely mine. Thank you.
There were a couple other things that they announced during that Black Panther 3 part of the larger Marvel Comic-Con panel. They're releasing the movie December 2028, so the release date did get pushed a little bit. Originally, it was going to come out in February 2028 and be the first Marvel Phase 7 movie right after Avengers Secret Wars, but that was when Secret Wars was still releasing in May 2027. Then they delayed both the Avengers movies and everything else got pushed down the road a little bit. And originally, it was going to come out before the rebooted X-Men movie in 2028 that Jake Schreier's working on right now with a new X-Men cast of younger actors. Sadie Sink is like the first new X-Men that they're introducing to the MCU in Spider-Man Brand New Day. The rest will meet probably after Secret Wars. So now they've shifted Black Panther 3 to come out after that new X-Men reboot movie. One of the reasons for that is that they said that they want to use mutants inside Black Panther 3, so you kind of see the logic. They want the new rebooted X-Men movie to be like their first real big movie featuring mutants in general, and then they just start showing up in other people's movies down the road after that. I know there's going to be a ton of questions about the X-Men coming back in Avengers Doomsday because of the classic X-Men, the older actors. They're like a completely separate thing. They're not going to stick around after Secret Wars. Hugh Jackman's Wolverine and Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool are like the only older X-Men actors that you probably see continue after Secret Wars. All those other X-Men actors are going to be recast for the new X-Men movie. And it sounds like now David Jonsson had been competing with Damson Idris to become the new Black Panther, and that's why Damson Idris was talking so much about it this year and last year, why he was appearing with the Black Panther cast in so many different places. It just seems like there was so much Black Panther surrounding Damson Idris that he probably tested against David Jonsson, and Marvel just decided that David Jonsson was the better actor for long term, which I'm totally fine with. Like, they're both great actors, but David Jonsson was fantastic in Alien Romulus. If you haven't seen that, I recommend checking it out. And an even better example of him flexing his acting muscles, if you want an example of what his T'Challa might be like, The Long Walk was more recent, and he has way more going on in that movie just in general than he did in Alien Romulus. The funny thing about that too, big coincidence, is that his co-lead in the movie, Cooper Hoffman, who was also great in that movie, son of Philip Seymour Hoffman, was just rumored to be up for the role of the new Cyclops in that 2028 X-Men movie. Even though I don't think that he's going to get it, that's why you've been seeing all the memes of the new Cyclops and the new Black Panther in that movie together. A really big part of Marvel's announcement here is that David Jonsson is going to be playing the aged-up adult version of the young T'Challa, son of Chadwick Boseman's T'Challa that we saw in the Black Panther Wakanda Forever post-credit scene.
My name is Prince T'Challa, son of King T'Challa.
And based on the way this went down, it sounds like this was always Marvel's plan for introducing a new T'Challa Black Panther. It was always going to be the son of Chadwick Boseman's T'Challa. It was just a question of how they're going to age him up to take the mantle of Black Panther. Like, how do they explain him jumping forward that much in time? And we heard a long time ago, like a couple years ago, that we'd see a new Black Panther show up in Avengers Doomsday. There was the leaked concept art, which seems like it was from Secret Wars, and now it seems like that was what it was all about, to introduce this new aged-up version of T'Challa. Like we get a vision of him in the movie, or they had some idea to feature another version of Black Panther in the movie. Since all this concept art leaked out, the Russos have probably changed the script, so I don't think that the movies are going to go down the way you see in the actual concept art. They're just like ideas that they were coming up with before the Russos rewrote the scripts for those movies. David Jonsson here is about 32 years old in real life right now. The young T'Challa was only about 8 or 9 years old, maybe in that post-credit scene. Moving in real time, that would only be about 6 years before Black Panther 3. So at best, without any time travel shenanigans, he'd only be like 15, 16 during Black Panther 3. So clearly they're going to use Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars to age him up with some super twisty reality warping explainer. I don't really care how they do it because they just told us they're doing it. Like, it's happening, get used to it. That's the important part. Here's your new Black Panther. He was a little kid in the last movie. I'm not super concerned with the details of how they get him to point B. Only that it will probably be some big reveal in Avengers Secret Wars.
T'Challa, her brother, she now has that mantle to pass on, and those guidance and that wisdom to pass on. A source of wisdom for, young nephew is beautiful. A lot of fun, and I'm going to pick on him so much.
Kevin Feige also said they'd be using the ending of Jonathan Hickman's Secret Wars run in the comics as a guide for how they'd be changing the MCU just in general heading into Marvel Phase 7. This is the soft reboot that people have been talking about for a couple of years. Kevin Feige said it wouldn't be a hard reboot, but more of a simplifying of singular timelines and some recasting, like this David Jonsson recasting essentially. The end result being that all the characters are on the same MCU planet, and everyone always thinks it's been that way forever, and it more closely resembles the 616 comic book universe, as opposed to the multiverse explainer they have right now with the characters on a whole bunch of different planets and different universes. So the X-Men with the Fantastic Four, the new Avengers characters, the Black Panther characters, all on the same planet, and it's the way Marvel wants things. They're not like worried about recasting people. It's all taken care of. Like all the behind-the-scenes stuff is cleaned up as they head forward in Marvel Phase 7, the way they want it to be. Marvel is also using this point. Black Panther 3 is a good example of this too, with the David Jonsson version of T'Challa in this new rebooted X-Men cast in 2028 as a jumping on point, like a point to onboard brand new, younger fans who haven't seen all the MCU movies going back to like before the MCU days, like even Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, early X-Men 2000 days. So remember how Thor Ragnarok was like the third Thor movie, but Kevin Feige said that they treated it kind of like the first Thor movie in a new line of Thor movies. It sounds like they're doing the same thing with Black Panther 3 because they're using it as like the big jumping on point, the onboarding point to get new fans on excited about this new David Jonsson version of T'Challa. So it'll be his first movie and they'll treat it like his first movie, even though technically it's the third Black Panther movie. So basically the same idea. All we ask is that you please don't let Taika Waititi come do the fourth Black Panther movie. And the other cool thing about introducing this new younger version of David Jonsson's Black Panther with the new younger version of X-Men is that you can cross them over a bunch and do stories with the two of those different groups in the movies going forward. For everyone that wanted to see the Storm Black Panther stories from the comics and their relationship, they can do that now with the younger version of Storm that they introduced in the MCU and now this younger David Jonsson T'Challa. Right after the big Marvel Comic-Con panel, Letitia Wright did an interview about Shuri passing the mantle of Black Panther to him. Marvel's plan right now is to have Shuri still be the main Black Panther through Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. Then in Black Panther 3 is going to be the transition film where she starts the movie still being Black Panther right after Secret Wars, and that movie passes the mantle to David Jonsson's T'Challa. Pretty easy to assume that he's the one who then takes down the final boss in like the final act of that movie, who I believe might wind up being Denzel Washington. I think that he's playing a villain in that movie, even though they haven't revealed which character he's playing yet. The other really big reveal about the movie is more mutants. Supposedly they're using more mutants in Black Panther 3. Like I said, a lot of X-Men characters will have been introduced already, so X-Men could also cross over into it, but they also might be introducing brand new mutants that don't appear in that first X-Men movie. We will see if any of them show up in the movie. You can let me know who you want to cross over if they do cross over some new X-Men characters.
To me, my X-Men.
But people have been asking for a new T'Challa Black Panther since before Black Panther Wakanda Forever. It sounds like Marvel always wanted to introduce a new one, but they made such a big deal about not recasting Chadwick Boseman's version. This is like their way to work around that he's still T'Challa, but he's just the son of Chadwick Boseman's version. Now the big question is how they'll include any flashbacks of Chadwick Boseman. Will David Jonsson's version speak with him in the ancestral plane? Because you know you want some of those scenes, but there's only a couple ways to accomplish scenes like that because Chadwick Boseman has passed away in real life. They could either use old footage of Chadwick Boseman, like deleted scenes that they re-edit into scenes that make it seem like they're new and he speaks to him in the ancestral plane. The only other easy way to have that scene is to have David Jonsson's version speak to him in Panther form. So in the first Black Panther movie, Chadwick Boseman's T'Challa goes to speak with his dead father in the ancestral plane, who transforms from a panther in the tree to human form. They could just have Chadwick Boseman's T'Challa stay in panther form and not verbally speak like a normal person. Otherwise, the only other way to do it is just to use old footage of him that they re-edit. Or in his mind he speaks to him and you don't actually see them physically talking, like lips moving, talking to each other. They could just show a one-sided conversation where David Jonsson's version speaks to him, but Chadwick Boseman's version does not speak himself. They just use imagery of him. They kind of did that during Black Panther Wakanda Forever, where they had a montage at the end of the movie where Shuri was grieving Chadwick Boseman's version, and he didn't really speak. They just showed footage of him from the previous movies. You can all let me know how you want them to pull stuff like that off. Like, how do you want them to handle that stuff? Everybody post all your reactions in the comments below and let me know what you want them to do with this new Black Panther after Black Panther 3. Which other movies and other characters do you want to see him cross over with? I'm in the middle of working on my Ryan Gosling Ghost Rider video. That'll post after my House the Dragon Episode 6 video, and that'll be next. So be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss that. Everybody click here for that video. I'll update the link as soon as I post it, and click here for my Avengers Doomsday Comic-Con trailer and panel video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.